Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. This is Bill from awarenessandtraining.com. We're bringing to you a nice freebie. This is a control by control, plain English HIPAA guide. If you're looking at this, you probably have something to do with HIPAA, you're on the hook for it, or maybe you're not sure if you're on the hook for it. You can go to the site here I'm going to give you in a minute, and it's got a guide that will help walk you through to understand if you are obligated to abide by HIPAA. And then it has a control by control breakdown to explain what you need to do. So the site is awarenessandtraining.com/HIPAA compliance guide ebook. Again, that's awarenessandtraining.com/HIPAA compliance guide ebook. I'll show that again at the end, but I want to walk you through this book. The first page here, it's got our email there if you have any questions. Our main line of business is that we provide HIPAA training, and so if you need any help with that, by all means contact us. But we try to provide freebies for the community out there to try to better the HIPAA community at large. So the first thing this book goes into, talks about how to use it. It's got a little introduction. It talks about then applicability. It's got a list here so you can see who's covered, who's not covered by HIPAA, different data objects that you may store, process, or transmit that may put you on the hook for abiding by HIPAA. It's got a disclaimer here. I'm not a lawyer. If you're reading this, you're probably not either. It's provided, this document is intended to help you understand how other organizations meet these requirements. But you should ultimately consult your lawyer if you have any questions. Every situation is different. Every organization is different. After doing this for over a decade, that is very clear. Anyway, let's just jump in. As you see, it just goes control by control. So let's take a look at any of these would be fine, like risk analysis. So in HIPAA, the regulatory text says, conduct an accurate and thorough assessment of the potential risks and vulnerabilities to the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of electronic protected health information held by the covered entity. So you might be reading this. This one's actually not as bad as some of them. Not a ton of legalese in there, but we can still help you convert that into plain English so you can understand it. We do that right here. Conduct vulnerability assessment in the context of the EPHI that your organization stores, processes, or transmits. This can be as simple as talking to your workforce to inventory the threats to confidentiality and integrity availability. Once you have an inventory of the threats, define a risk rating algorithm that fits with your organization. Generally, that should account for the likelihood of the risk multiplied by the impact of the risk realized. If the industry standard for this requirement, is to conduct a risk assessment annually. So we tried to just provide best practices and examples from other organizations that we've seen. Here's another good example of one, the sanction policy. Apply appropriate sanctions against workforce members who fail to comply with the security policies and procedures of the covered entity. We convert that into plain English and say, in your security policy document that staff are required to adhere to the security policies, and if they don't, you're going to take actions against them. It also says that you can loop that into your new employee training, or if you have an employee handbook, and suggest that you have employees sign that. Remember that in the world of audits and compliance, if something's written down, it doesn't exist. That's not literal, but at the same time, it generally is true. If you can't prove it, if you don't have it written down, you're going to struggle should you unfortunately find yourself in a HIPAA audit. So I'm not going to go control by control of these. I just wanted to give you a flavor for this. Hopefully it's a really useful ebook. Again, totally free if you go to that website. I'll bring it up again in a second. See, it's just pages upon pages for that. Again, if you're looking for HIPAA training for your staff, that's these controls here, 164.308A51. The HIPAA requirement is that you implement a security awareness training program for all members of your workforce. That is our bread and butter. That's what we provide at awarenessandtraining.com. If you have any need for that, please do consult us. Otherwise, we hope you find this book super useful. All right. Thanks a bunch. Bye.